Hey everybody, I'm Jeff Mucklin. I'm with the Nurture Nature Center, and this is Science at Home. And I'm recording today at the Philadelphia Insectarium and Butterfly Pavilion, and we are here because this week's video is all about butterflies. Now, I'm recording this video in the month of March, and right now outside here in the Northeast it's very cold, much too cold for insects to survive. The insects that we see in the forests and wild spaces in the area where we live have to survive the winter either by going dormant. Some of them live underground where the temperature is more stable, and some of them migrate from warmer locations. But in here, it's warm all the time. We're in a greenhouse, so they maintain a nice comfortable temperature, and the humidity is also pretty high in here. So it's a great habitat for butterflies to live and breed year-round. Butterflies are insects. Like other insects, they have 6 legs. They have a segmented body that is split into a head, a thorax, and an abdomen. On their head, they have some of their sense organs, including eyes, but they don't have eyes like ours. They have compound eyes. They also have antennae on their head, and these antennae act a little bit like your nose. They're able to detect chemicals in the air with their antennae. And they're also even able to detect sound and very slight changes in air pressure using hairs that are all over their body and on their feet. Like a few other insects, like dragonflies and the common housefly, butterflies are able to take flight. But they have large, delicate, beautiful wings, not like the wings that we see in other insects. Here's a wonderful example of a butterfly with some very beautiful wings. Now, these large, broad wings allow the butterfly to be surprisingly agile in flight, but this does come at a cost. Butterflies are very easy to spot for predators. They're carnivorous insects and birds that eat butterflies. But butterflies do have ways to defend themselves. Some of them have color patterns that allow them to camouflage and blend into their surroundings. Some butterflies go in the completely opposite direction, though. Here behind me, you can see a painting of a butterfly. Look at these bright patterns, all these colors here. They stand out very distinctly. Often in nature, when an animal, when a plant or an animal stands out like this, it's typically a warning sign. Take, for example, poison dart frogs. They have very bright, colorful patterns on their bodies that make them stand out. But it's a warning to other animals to leave them alone. It's not worth it to try to eat them because they are toxic. Well, some butterflies are toxic. Monarch butterflies are toxic because they eat milkweed, which has a toxic sap, and it makes the monarchs toxic. So they have these bright, colorful patterns that make them stand out as a warning to any bird that's thinking about making a snack out of a monarch to just leave it alone. Try to find your food elsewhere. And then there are some butterflies that actually try to mimic the monarch butterfly. There's a butterfly called the viceroy that looks a lot like a monarch butterfly. You'd have to be an insect expert to be able to tell the difference. They're not poisonous, but they look like a monarch, so they get that same advantage, that same protection by having these bright, colorful patterns. So right here is another butterfly that uses eye spots as a form of protection. It has a large black spot on its wing that looks an awful lot like an eye, and that might scare away, say, a bird that sees this butterfly. It might think that it's not seeing a butterfly but another large bird, and so it knows to just stay its distance. Butterflies can be very tricky. In the wild, most butterflies get their food by drinking nectar from flowers. Here inside the pavilion, they provide the butterflies with slices of fruit. I see some orange slices and some bananas, and they're drinking the sugary liquid, the juice from these fruit slices. If you look very closely, you can see this butterfly's tongue. It looks like another one of its legs, or maybe one of its antennae, but that thing that keeps twitching around is its tongue, which is also called its proboscis. Butterflies have a proboscis that can suck the nectar from flowers, and in this case, suck the juice from this orange slice. Like other insects, butterflies have a life cycle. and their bodies change very dramatically during their life cycles. They start off as an egg, and when the eggs hatch, a caterpillar can emerge from that egg, and the caterpillar's job is to eat. They're eating machines. A caterpillar can grow many times in size before it's ready to metamorphosize. And when a caterpillar needs to metamorphosize, it forms a chrysalis, a protective cocoon of some kind. Here at the insectarium, they actually are raising butterflies. These are all cocoons here from different types of species. And over here, I can actually see a butterfly has recently this morning emerged from its chrysalis. And you'll notice that the wings look very shriveled right now. When they first emerge, they have to pump fluid from their abdomen into their wings, and they kind of swell up, and that butterfly will be ready for flight at that point. In addition to the live butterflies, the insectarium also has an impressive collection of preserved butterflies and moths on display. The scientific name for these similar insects is Lepidoptera. Lepidoptera have common characteristics, the most distinctive being the tiny scales that cover their bodies, including their wings. These scales give butterflies and moths their brilliant colors. There are 180,000 known types of Lepidoptera, and they account for 10% of all known organisms to science. The main difference between the two is the shape of the antenna. Moths tend to have larger, bushier antennae than butterflies. Moths also tend to be nocturnal or active at night, while most butterflies are diurnal or active during the day. They display a remarkable diversity from the enormous Hercules moth to the pygmy blue butterfly, from the clear wings of the glasswing butterfly to the rainbow pattern of the sunset butterfly. My favorite is the blue morpho, which has iridescent blue wings. You have to see this in person to really appreciate the depth of this color. So I'm back at the Nurture Nature Center, and you might be wondering why I need a seasonal data set playing on the Science on a Sphere to talk about little old butterflies, but you need to think on a global scale if you want to understand the epic distances traveled by monarch butterflies during their annual migration, and I can think of nothing better for that than the Science on a Sphere. The monarch butterfly migration starts some of them winter over in Florida, and some of them winter over in Mexico. These are places that are warm enough for them to survive even in the winter. But when spring comes, these butterflies begin to migrate. They go north. And they don't get very far before they just can't go any further. They get into the southern United States, the ones leaving from Mexico. And at that point, they can't travel any further, but they reproduce. They lay eggs, which hatch into caterpillars, and within just a few weeks, we have a new generation of monarch butterflies. And they continue the journey. They migrate even further north, and they make it into, like the southern United States. They reproduce, they lay eggs, which hatch into caterpillars, and a few weeks later, we have another generation of butterflies, monarch butterflies, that continue even further north, and they make it into Canada in the summer months. They reproduce. At that point, again, a new generation of eggs is laid, and they hatch into caterpillars, which become butterflies. And they now have to fly south, all the way back to Mexico. This final generation goes all the way back to Florida and Mexico. It's a multi-generational migration from Mexico to Canada and back again. It's very unique within the animal kingdom. Now, at the Nurture Nature Center, we were so inspired by the amazing journey of the monarch butterfly that we actually had some art installed here at the center inspired by it. And that art now hangs in the stairwell of the Nurture Nature Center. It shows thousands of monarch butterflies. A group of butterflies has two names. Sometimes it's called a colony, but sometimes it's called a kaleidoscope, and I really like that name. The weather is much nicer today than it was when I was at the insectarium in Philadelphia, and so I'm outside today at Jacobsburg, and just outside of the main offices for the Jacobsburg Environmental Education Center, they have this lovely butterfly garden. Now, it doesn't look like much this time of year, but in the next few months, all of these plants here are going to bloom, and there's going to be lots of beautiful flowers here, and they're going to attract lots and lots of butterflies, a kaleidoscope of butterflies. If you would like to attract butterflies, you could start your own butterfly garden. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you're looking forward to spring, and I'll see you next time.